Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about a pretty big breakthrough in the 3DS emulation scene, and it's all surrounding Athahar. So taking a look here, Pablo MK7, who is one of the main developers of Athahar, says installing owned games and demos as well as updates from the eShop is now possible. And this to me is absolutely incredible. I mean, take a look at what's going on. This is all through emulation. Talk about wild. Now, I could be wrong here, but if I'm not mistaken, Nintendo in the past has directly tried to tie emulation with piracy, basically stating that emulation is piracy because it enables piracy. Well, this to me is the exact opposite of that. I mean, this is an emulator, and that's installing owned games and demos, games that have been purchased. So we'll have to wait and see here, but to me, this is the exact opposite of piracy, the exact opposite of that whole emulation piracy argument. Now, it is worth noting here that there is no official release of Athahar just yet. It is a merging of Lime 3DS and Pablo MK7's fork of Citra, and development on this one seems to be going very well. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about Athahar in the comments below, and I guess the state of 3DS emulation. And if you are curious about it, anything I talk about, link will be in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. And speaking about Nintendo and piracy, next up here we're talking about Nintendo versus Reddit. Now in an earlier video we talked about how Nintendo found someone they were accusing of pirating Switch games and also selling Switch games, I think, pirated Switch games. And that was at a super high level by contacting a law firm. The law firm tracked down this user's public posts on Reddit and then tied that information with some internal information Nintendo had from that person sending them in a Switch for repair. They found this person, I think they took him to court, and I think they may have won. Anyways, here it appears that Nintendo is going back to Reddit for even more information. Now, all of this information and more is up over on nintendoeverything.com, and again, like everything I talk about, link is in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. So this article says the company said late last week that it became aware of multiple other online actors who appeared to have a role in the pirate shops. Nintendo is seeking to subpoena business records from Namecheap, GoDaddy, Two Cows, Cloudflare, GitHub, Discord, Google, and Reddit to identify those who may have ties to Williams being the person they are accusing of piracy. Even more interestingly here, this is what Nintendo reportedly says about Reddit. Reddit Inc. operates a social media platform where users, often using pseudonyms or aliases, may post to different forums known as communities or subreddits. Defendant was a primary moderator of the Switch Pirates community under the name Archbox, which boasted more than 190,000 members. Nintendo has reason to believe that other accounts active in the Switch Pirates community may have also been controlled by defendant, or else reflect other individuals who have worked alongside the defendant. The purpose of all of the requested subpoenas is to seek relevant information that is necessary for Nintendo of America to pursue infringement claims. Now, taking a look at this subreddit Nintendo was referencing, and well, it's still up. It hasn't been taken down yet, and it's got over 217,000 members, so it's grown even since Nintendo issued that statement. Now, from my understanding, and I could be wrong here, but Reddit seems to be no stranger to receiving subpoenas, and I'm pretty sure we covered this in a video a long while back, I think back in 2023. But here is the title of the Ars Technica article. Film studios lose bid to unmask Reddit users who wrote comments on piracy. So this could be big in the Nintendo case. To be honest with you, I had to refresh my memory on this one because it happened a while back. I know a year ago is not too long ago, but at the same time here, when you cover news every single day, or almost every single day, you tend to forget things here and there. So anyways, they say the studio subpoenaed Reddit seeking identifying information for specific users, this is the big part, who commented in piracy-related threads. And Reddit here argued under the First Amendment these people should be protected. And from my understanding here, the judge ruled in their favor. Now, I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. In my opinion only, I think Nintendo's got a very big uphill battle. I think that precedent has been set in court, and I don't know if Nintendo is going to get their way with what they want out of Reddit in terms of user data. I could be wrong though, but I don't know here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about this entire situation and what may or may not happen. Honestly, Nintendo is casting a pretty wide net here. There are some massive companies involved. I mean, Google, well, Reddit, Discord, GitHub, even more. And if I'm not mistaken, Discord here has taken a similar approach to Reddit in the past where they don't necessarily want to give up information. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think I am. So I'm very curious to see what happens moving forward with Nintendo and what information they end up getting and what information they don't. Next up, we're quickly talking about Bloodborne, and there's been a whole lot of talk about Bloodborne online recently, a whole lot of rumor, and it has all started because of one announcement. And here's the announcement. It's pretty minor. Bloodborne servers are undergoing maintenance on December 3rd. However, it's also the same date that was hidden in a recent PlayStation trailer. So a lot of people are connecting the dots that may or may not be there and saying there's going to be a Bloodborne announcement on December 3rd. That is literally all I've got about this one. I don't have any inside information. I've got nothing aside from this rumor. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Do you think this is something, or do you think it's absolutely nothing? Moving on, and I've got another quick heads up for you. If you've got a mobile device with a Snapdragon CPU and, well, an Adreno GPU, you might be excited to know there's brand new Turnip drivers available. At the time of filming, Turnip driver version 25.0.0 revision 3 is the latest update. Now, it is worth pointing out that with Turnip drivers, there's a lot of trial and error. Some drivers work better with some applications, with some devices, and also with some games. So you may have to fiddle around here to see which Turnip drivers work the best on your device for the application and game you're going to play. And speaking about the latest and greatest version, next up we're talking about PSP emulation with PPSSPP, and this is specifically for the App Store. It appears the gold version of PPSSPP is having a few issues over on the App Store. So here's the latest from the main developer of PPSSPP, and he says, talking to an App Store review brick wall. In short, the gold version of PPSSPP for iOS is stuck in review, and I am thus unable to update it at all. I am also unable to update any aspect of the store presence, like the description. For now, I recommend all iOS users to use the free version of PPSSPP, even if you paid for gold. Now, for reference, aside from the icon and supporting the developer, there's no difference between the gold version and the free version. The gold version is just the paid version that offers the exact same features, just supports the developer. Anyways, there is a lot of back and forth between the developer and the App Store. And the developer here is not really getting a clear answer from Apple. I mean, if you want to read through this, by all means, go on ahead and do it. It's a very interesting back and forth, and it's almost as if Apple is not really reading the responses from the developer here and just has some sort of canned response. It's very weird overall. I mean, the developer is very articulate in his answering his emails here, and well, Apple really isn't. So even though there's a whole lot of back and forth here, they really haven't made any sort of progress. And here's the conclusion, I guess, from the developer. There seems to be no progress possible despite Apple's complaints being entirely invalid. The essentially identical free version of PPSSPP flies through review every time, while the paid version is stuck. Why aren't the two treated the same? Most of the other approved emulators also mention the name of the consoles they emulate in the App Store description. Otherwise, it's kind of hard for users to know what to download. Interestingly, there on that point, if you take a look at, RetroArch cores within Steam, they don't really list the system they emulate. Anyways, here they also say there are no copyrighted game files included. Emulators playing user-provided games are allowed on the App Store now. It's the original app, not a cheap re-upload of someone else's content. The developer has tried appealing the previous conversation on the App Store review board with no result. He says, it's just so frustrating. I want to get a bug fix update out and I can't. If you are an Apple employee and have any way to help or any information or tips that might be helpful to get past this roadblock, well, he's providing his contact address in order to do so. And then he says, at this point, I'm starting to think that the best way forward might be ditching the separate gold app and switching to an in-app purchase, though there are some practical issues with that. So let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments below. And if you've got any ties with Apple, any insider knowledge to help push this through, feel free to contact the developer. Next up, we're talking about the SuperSega, a highly controversial FPGA console that, well, may or may not ever be released. Anyways, here there's a recent review of this one online, and well, here's one of the reactions. Here's the title of the article. If nothing else, SuperSega's latest review should convince you to keep your wallet shut. So they've got a YouTube video up showcasing a review. The console is, well, it crashes a few times. It appears it's running an official Sega Saturn BIOS, which seems to be problematic in itself. And on top of that here, the person in the review was asked if the console sucks, and I guess the person filming it is the main person behind SuperSega. And the response is, well, an awkward look at the camera and the saying here of, no, it doesn't suck. Feel free to check out the time extension article for a whole bunch of very interesting information as well as their actual video. Now, their video is in Spanish, and I've had to translate this one using captions, and well, I think, the part where they're talking about it. It's at 11 minutes and 45 seconds in. And I'm guessing there's the awkward look, and then he looks at the ground, or looks at the controller rather. It's a very interesting review overall. I would say this thing is not in very good shape. Again, I could be wrong about that, but at the same time here, every single video I see about this one makes me question the project even more. Now, I'm certain we're going to hear more about this one as time goes on, but in my opinion, this project has a whole lot of red flags. As time goes on, we're probably going to get closer and closer to an actual product launch, and I'm very curious to see what the final product is going to be like. And I'm even more curious to see if people actually get their hands on one of these things and we can get their take from it. We'll have to wait and see here. I would say reviews like this, where the creator of it is standing in the same room probably filming this, are probably a little bit biased. I mean, this is not an honest review in my opinion. I could be wrong here, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Next up, we're talking about Monster Hunter Stories, and if you're interested in this game, or if you have this game, you may be interested to know that Capcom has removed Denuvo from this game. It initially launched with Denuvo back in June of this year, and well, Denuvo was on it for 5 months before being taken off. Now, in comparison with other Monster Hunter games, it doesn't appear that Monster Hunter Stories is very popular, again, in comparison with Monster Hunter games. This game has an overall very positive review score with less than 500 reviews. Anyways, it is currently on sale for 20% off. You can see here the DRM is Enigma and not Denuvo. And on top of that, I thought this game was Steam Deck verified. It is. So the game is also Steam Deck verified. And speaking about Steam, next up we're talking about Steam and their autumn sale. And Steam is just having their autumn sale between now and December 4th. Now, we talked about some of these sales yesterday over on GOG, and some of them are very similar over here on Steam. For example, Baldur's Gate 3 is currently 20% off. My advice with, I think, all of these sales is just take a look at your wish list to see what's on sale, and if there's a good deal for you, feel free to pick it up. It's very difficult to take a look at this and not want to pick up certain games. But I mean, I probably am like a lot of you where my backlog is just too big right now and I've got to get through it before I pick up more games, which isn't going to happen. I'm going to pick up more games and have more games yet unplayed in there. Next up is a pretty big announcement from Raspberry Pi. And if you like to create things, if you like to tinker around with a whole bunch of different little pieces of technology, you may be a fan of this announcement. The Compute Module 5 is now on sale starting at $45, and this is based on a Raspberry Pi 5. I mean, if you don't believe me, I don't know why you wouldn't. Anyways, they say right here, Compute Module 5 gives you everything you love about Raspberry Pi 5, but in a smaller package. And it is available in 2, 4, or 8 gig of RAM versions with 16, 32, or 64 gigs of eMMC memory. Now, in 2025, they will be releasing a version of this with 16 gigs of RAM. So if you want more RAM, you may want to wait until 2025. Unfortunately, I don't have a firm release date for that just yet. Next up, if you're a fan of world records, if you're a fan of Pokemon, if you're a fan of watching people open packs and you've got like 24 hours to kill, there may be a live stream you may want to check out that has already happened, but it did set a Guinness World Record. And they say here, and this is right from the Pokemon website, Pokemon fans smash Guinness World Records title with marathon unboxing, over 20,000 cards. And this marathon lasted 24 hours. From my understanding, a lot of these cards will be going to charity. So they say here, tens of thousands of cards revealed during the live stream will also be carefully curated into binders to create incredible collections of trading card game cards that will be donated to charities ahead of the holidays. Now, on top of all of that, it's worth pointing out here, Pokemon fans can catch up on the whole day worth of amazing reveals on Pokemon's Twitch, and should keep their eyes peeled for future product giveaways on content creators' channels in the next 2 weeks. So if you're into giveaways, if you're into Pokemon, you may want to pay attention to Twitch. Next up is a quick heads up here that Blasphemous appears to be releasing for Android. I'm in Canada, it's not released just yet, or not now at the time of filming. And it does appear to be releasing in different regions, so I'm assuming within the next few weeks, pretty much everyone should have access to Blasphemous. I could be wrong though. Anyways, this was a heavy hitter on Steam. It was very well reviewed, and now it's headed to Android. I mean, over on Steam here, Blasphemous has a very positive review score with over 37,000 reviews. And they say it is a brutal action platformer with skilled hack and slash combat. I've played through Blasphemous a bunch of different times, and I do find this game very entertaining and also very difficult. Some people say it's kind of like a 2D version of Dark Souls. I would say it's kind of just its own game here. It's very weird, but at the same time also pretty good. Next up, we're talking about PlayStation and even more rumors. And the latest rumors here about PlayStation are that they're gearing up to release a black version of the PS Portal and also a black version of the DualSense Edge. I'm very curious to see if this does come to fruition or if it's just a rumor. More than likely, where there's smoke, well, there's fire. So we'll have to wait and see on this one. In my opinion, the PS Portal is a semi-functional handheld. I mean, yeah, it just got an update to play streamed games, and yeah, it could do a little bit more, again, at least in my opinion. But at the same time here, people who have this seem to like it. But to refresh your memory here, about a week ago on November 19th, PlayStation did announce that PlayStation Plus Premium members will have access to test cloud streaming beta for select PS5 games on their game catalog. And that is for the PS Portal, which in my opinion should have been a feature that they had from the beginning. Next up, we're talking about Call of Duty, and if you're a fan of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, but not a fan of the seemingly large amount of cheaters in it, this announcement may give you some peace of mind. So it comes from the Call of Duty Updates Twitter account, and they say Team Ricochet with an update on the ongoing work to combat cheating in ranked play. AI systems continue to ramp up with code optimizations to accelerate enforcements. Over 19,000 ranked play bans since the mode launched, and hourly sweeps to remove cheaters from ranked play mode and leaderboard. And on a quick side note here, if you're wondering how many people of these 19,000 are using Linux, which has been said to have been a huge system for cheating, well, the answer is 0, because Call of Duty 6 is not compatible with Linux. But do you know what is compatible with Linux? Baldur's Gate 3. And Baldur's Gate 3 has just made a pretty big announcement. So they say what's upcoming here will be a photo mode, crossplay, and 12 subclasses, and this will all be coming next year. So they say right here, whether you're joining PS5 players from your PC or jumping into a game with Mac users from your Xbox, Baldur's Gate 3 multiplayer will soon feature full cross-platform progression, including crossplay, just as the gaming gods intended. In my opinion, this is a massive announcement for the game and will be pretty awesome once it's implemented. As for the subclasses, I think there's a lot of things in here people will be excited about, and people will probably create new characters just to take advantage of. I mean, if you take a look, under Fighter, there's Arcane Archer. Under Rogue, there is Swashbuckler. Under Sorcerer, there's Shadow Magic. And my personal favorite, under Monk, there is Drunken Master. That is absolutely awesome, as if you didn't need an excuse already to drink. And speaking about drinking, next up we're talking about Elon Musk. And this is very interesting, and I'm very curious to see how this all pans out. But here is the latest from Elon, and I'm not certain if he's trolling or if he's being serious here. He says, too many game studios that are owned by massive corporations. XAI is going to start an AI game studio to make games great again. Okay then, I guess we're going to have to wait and see how this turns out, but I can't imagine it's going to be great from the get-go. I might be wrong here, but if I'm not mistaken, we learned about an AI game earlier on that was literally just a clone of Minecraft. I mean, we talked about that in a previous video. There were some serious issues with it. But anyways, here we'll have to wait and see what exactly is going on. I don't know. From my understanding, AI borrows things. So there may be some what's the word I'm looking for? Copyright issues with some of these games. Again, I could be completely wrong, but we'll have to wait and see. And last up here, we're quickly talking about Atari Jaguar emulation with BigPEmu. And in my opinion, this is a major advancement for the emulator, especially if you use touch controls. Anyways, this is a message right from the man himself, Rich Whitehouse, the person behind BigPEmu. Rich says, BigPEmu's touch integration is evolving. The upcoming build features new touch and mouse cursor scripts for quite a few games. Here's a demo of Raiden, the ship tracks your finger, and VidGrid. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below, but in my opinion, it makes a whole bunch of games that are relatively unplayable if you had to use touchscreen to super playable. This to me is amazing. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.